Thank you for joining Pick Recap. Today I'm going to explain a drama, horror, thriller film called Don't Listen. As the movie begins, we are shown a man named Daniel. At that time, Daniel was taking his son's ball out of the pool. Then we are shown the son of Daniel. Something strange was happening to her for a few days, that he hears scary sounds in the night. Because of this he could not sleep. For this, the nature of Daniel's son was changing. He keeps quiet and his behavior with his parents was also not good. After seeing their son's condition, his parents call a physician. He talks to the son of Dr. Daniel. The boy then tells the doctor about the sounds he hears at night. Daniel's son says that voices tell me to paint and draw. That doctor finds these things strange. The doctor tells his parents that these are just his fantasies. Nothing more than that. You have recently shifted to a new home, so your child is feeling lonely. After telling all these things, the doctor leaves from there. But then strange sounds come from that doctor's car. On the other hand, Daniel's son was painting. While driving, a fly gets into the doctor's ear. This makes the doctor jealous. Then the doctor's eyes filled with tears. His condition worsens. Meanwhile, the car loses its balance. That car collided with the tree. A branch of the tree stabs the doctor in his mouth and then the doctor dies badly. When she dies, the fly leaves her ear. Then it flies. Daniel's son had also completed his drawing. The painting he makes shows blood pouring from the branches of a tree. Daniel, the child's father, notices that there are a lot of flies in the small section of the wall. Daniel was irritated by the flies and was trying to blow them away with the spray. But then Daniel's son calls him. He says, "Dad, come and help me. Please take the ball out of the pool." Daniel then takes out his son's ball. Along with this, he tells his son not to go near the pool now. Then Daniel's wife invites her son to take a bath. That child was also hearing strange sounds in the washroom with the walkie-talkie. After this, the child asks his mother that his father does not love him. "Does he hate me?" To this his mother replies that no, there is nothing like this. Your father loves you very much. In the night, Daniel's wife asks Daniel, "Did you say anything to the child?" On this, Daniel says that no, I did not say anything. Here Daniel understood that his son had said something to his mother. So he tries to convince his wife that our son is alone, that's why he is behaving like this. It will be normal when someone becomes his friend in school. Some terrible and strange sounds were coming from near the pond in the middle of the night. Due to this, Daniel wakes up. He goes to close the gate. But when Daniel leaves, he sees his son talking to someone on a walkie-talkie. Suddenly his toy starts ringing in that child's room. The child closes that toy. But then he looks behind the curtain. He learns that someone is standing behind the curtain. This frightens him and goes back to his bed. But then that child feels that slowly someone is moving towards him. Suddenly, someone grabs his face. But during this, Daniel's hand hits the photo frame, he falls down and breaks. Due to this, Daniel's hand was injured and blood started flowing. The next day, Danielle's wife arrives and tells her that our child has been suspended from school. Because he did a strange thing in school. He hides there in a cupboard and he also bites the principal. So his mother says that the doctor will come to meet you every day. The child replies that the doctor is dead. Hearing this, his parents felt that our child was talking nonsense. But then after some time, Daniel gets a call. He learns that the doctor was actually dead. But then they think that someone in school must have told our son about the death of that doctor. At night, the child was again hearing some sounds from that walkie-talkie. Listening to those voices, he was also drawing a picture. Then we see a woman's spirit in that child's room. That was what was bothering them. Some sounds were also heard near the pool tonight. Then Daniels goes outside to check. He feels a little strange outside. He takes his gun with him. There he found his son's clothes. This upsets him. He runs towards the pool. Hearing Daniel's voice, his wife also wakes up. She goes to her son's room to see him. He did not find his son there. When Daniel reaches the pool, he finds his son's body floating in the pool. Daniel immediately takes out his son's body. He learns that his son is dead. His parents were sad after losing their son. Then his mother decided to go to her mother's house for a few days. Then she packs her things. Suddenly she sees the pillow. There was a stain of blood on that pillow. She thinks it will be Daniel's hand injury. When Daniel's wife leaves, then he was watching the videos when they were newly shifted to this house. His son was excited to come to this house. Daniel gets sad seeing those videos. Then Daniel hears the voices around him. He turns off the TV and is about to leave. But then the TV turns on automatically. Daniel turns off the TV again. He comes out and says hello on the walkie-talkie. But he doesn't get any reply from the other side. Daniel then sends a voice message to his wife to know about him. There was noise in that voice message, so his wife called him. His wife asks, "Are you fine? Because there were strange sounds in your voice message." When the call ends, Daniel listens to that voice message. This time he was shocked to hear the voice note. Then he listens to that sound after upgrading his laptop to hear the sound correctly. This time he heard his son's voice. He was asking for help. Here Daniel finds all these things extraordinary. Before his son's death, Daniel had seen interviews with paranormal investigators. Then he goes to meet the paranormal investigator. He tells her about all the incidents that happened in his house. He also tells her about his son's voice. He seeks help from that paranormal investigator. At first he refuses. But Daniel persuades her to help him. Then the paranormal investigator arrives at Danielle's house with his daughter. That paranormal investigator's daughter's name was Ruth. Once there, Ruth sets up cameras throughout the house. Then after setting everything up, they try to hear the sound of that house. But then Ruth sees that someone is sitting in the room. She tells this to her father. She says Daniel is showing on camera and asks her to go out. Ruth's father says that he cannot be Daniel, because Danielle is sitting outside. Ruth's father goes to that room to check. But he didn't see anyone there. He hears his daughter Ruth's voice. She was asking her father to leave the room as soon as possible. Because that ghost, that spirit, was with his father. Ruth's father does not see anyone there. Then after some time there is a loud sound in his father's headphones. This frightens him and gets scared. Seeing all this, Ruth's father says that something supernatural or paranormal is happening here. So we'll try again tomorrow to check that. At night, Ruth's father sees someone outside the room. Chasing that thing, he comes out. Ruth's father saw that his wife was dead. So he tries to talk to her. But Ruth's mother traps her husband. She also gives him food and wine. She says we will always be together. Then he cut off Ruth's father's hand with a sharp knife. But Ruth comes there and brings her father to her senses. After regaining consciousness, he sees that he is cutting his own hand. On the other hand, we see that Daniel's wife gets a call from someone. She hears the call, and on the call was her son. He was telling his mother that his father had brought someone at home to harm him. Daniel's wife asks him, "Where are you now, son?" On this the child says that I am hiding under my bed. Daniel's wife decides to return home as soon as possible after hearing their son's voice. Coming out, Ruth sees that there were corpses of cats hanging on a tree. While Daniel was burying the carcasses of those cats, his wife comes there. She asks Daniel, "What are they doing here? Why do they come here?" A woman invites Ruth to her. She tells the reality of that house. She asks him to leave this place as it is dangerous. Daniel's wife looks at her son under the bed. After some time, Daniel's wife sees her son. She was about to go to her son, but that child immediately goes under the bed. When his mother looks under the bed, she sees someone's feet on the other side of the bed. Those feet were now coming to the bed. But when he looked at the bed, there was no one there. This frightens Daniel's wife. So she tries to run away from there. But then he finds a woman behind him. The woman puts her hand on his mouth. Then Ruth's father told Daniel about this house. That many years ago a witch was tortured and killed in this house. The carcasses of cats found are actually used in black magic or rituals. During this, Daniel's wife committed suicide by hanging herself. She jumps out of the window. Here, after the death of Daniel's wife, blood was also bleeding from his ear and a fly also comes out of his ear. Sad to lose wife Daniel after his son. He decided that I would find out who killed my wife and son. Then suddenly Daniel sees his wife and his son. But as soon as he removes the curtain, they disappear from there. Then suddenly the ghost attacks Daniel. Ruth was watching footage of Daniel's wife. He saw that when Daniel's wife hanged, there was also a ghost at that time. Then they hear the sound of fire from the walkie-talkie. They quickly go there and try to comfort Daniel. Then Ruth's father tells Daniel that the witch was tortured under this house here. On this, Daniel says that I know the way to go to that place. Daniel breaks down the wall where the flies were. After breaking the wall, they find a secret place there. There was also the skeleton of a witch. After touching the skeleton, Ruth's father learns how the witch was being tortured. Then they decide to burn the skeleton of the witch. Ruth's father sprinkles petrol on the skeleton. He asks Ruth to stay outside. But as soon as he went underground, the torch stopped working. The witch attacks Ruth's father. Ruth called her father several times, but there was no sound from inside. Then Ruth looks at her mother. She was dead, but she was calling Ruth to her. Ruth understands the whole thing. That this is the trick of that witch's ghost. That's why she doesn't go to her mother. Due to this, his mother disappears from there. After this, the witch returns to her original getup and starts intimidating Ruth. Daniel was looking for petrol. Then he sees his wife and son. They ask Daniel if he will stay with them. Hearing this, Daniel hugs them. But in reality, they were not his wife and son, she was a witch. And he was hugging the witch. It was a witch's trick. Daniel was caught in the witch's trap. So he sprinkles petrol on himself. He was about to set himself on fire. To live forever for his wife and son. Ruth's father was preparing to burn the skeleton. But then Ruth comes there and attacks her father. She stops him from doing so. Because he was possessed by that witch. Then at the same time, Ruth's father manages to set the skeleton on fire. This brings Ruth to her senses. Now she was normal. Daniel also survived. Now everything was normal. Daniel was looking at the drawings made by his son. He sees that everyone's way of dying was predetermined. How would someone die? Daniel remembers something while looking at a picture. He remembers the night when he heard the voice. He remembers that he too was possessed by a fly. He killed his son by drowning him in the pond. When he fell asleep, a fly came out of his ear. And a drop of blood fell on that pillow. His wife was thinking that it was the blood of his wound. Daniel is saddened to learn all this. He was sad and regretted what he had done. So he goes to the pool and commits suicide by shooting himself with a gun. Here we learn that Daniel's son had foreseen his father's ordinance and his own death. Then we see that the witch was looking at Daniel. That means it was not dead, it was still alive. That is, they could not eliminate that witch. Then we see Ruth and her father. They were watching someone's footage.